Welcome back. Well, today I have Anne Mundell Noel, who is here on behalf of Amazing Hearing. And Anne, you always have a great subject matter for us, and today is no different. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Lisa. I really enjoy being here.
You always have such great information, and each time we learn something new. And I like the fact that today we're going to be able to bring in some additional subjects that might be a little touchy, because sometimes people, they don't want to listen and they just kind of do their own thing. And so I like the fact that we're going to focus on that. So obviously we're here about hearing, and May is, you say, Better Hearing Month.
Yeah, it is a month to focus on our hearing health. So we're excited about that.
Okay, good. So what are some of the things that we can do to make sure that our hearing is in tip-top shape?
Well, what I would like to do is I'm going to start out with just a brief overview of how hearing works, just to give everybody a refresher for those people who may have forgotten. But basically, there's four parts of our ears. So we have that outer ear, which is the ear canal up to the eardrum that kind of collects the sound. So if you were to have wax in your ears, that could be a barrier for sound in the outer ear. The next section is the middle ear, and those are those three little bones and your eustachian tube that goes down into your throat. And that is the area where you could have pressure in your ears. If you go up in an airplane, you go scuba diving. If the tube in your ear is not working well, you can get some pain. If little children have fluid behind their eardrums, that's the area that can cause that temporary hearing loss. So that's the middle ear. Then the next area is the thing that looks like a snail, and that is the inner ear. And that's actually where the electrical impulses of sound take place, and they then send the signal up to the brain, which is the fourth area that we're looking at there. So really, what we're looking at when we check hearing is we go from the outer ear, making sure it's clear, through the middle ear to the inner ear, and then the signal is sent up to the brain. And the left side hears, and it goes to the right side of our brain, and the right side hears, and it goes to the left side of our brain. And then in real time, the two sides tell each other what's going on. So the whole idea behind hearing is to get the cleanest, clearest signal up to the brain. Okay.
Right.
So when we have hearing loss, there's been a change in the signal coming to the brain. So it could be from wax, it could be from fluid behind the eardrum. But what we're going to focus on today is the inner ear, where the hearing loss is a permanent thing, usually due to aging and blood flow.
Oh, okay, good. So the effects of hearing loss, do you want to talk about that right now?
Sure. So what happens is if the signal that's going up to the brain is not complete, for any of the reasons, but mainly because of hearing loss due to aging, where the little hair cells get broken, the blood supply gets cut off as we get older, then the little hairs don't give the brain a complete signal. And so what happens then is if it's not complete, then you have to work harder to try to hear what people are saying. So think of it like in terms of vision, because people can relate to that very easily. If I have a visual stimulus and I have only 80% opacity and I take a percentage away, you can still make out the picture, but it's just not as clear. You don't get the detail. And what happens with hearing loss is over time, the details become less and less. So then people start having to use sentence structure and intonation and inflection and visual cues in order to try to fill in the gaps that they're not hearing clearly. So then we have to work harder. We misunderstand words. We start saying, did you say me or did you say me? Did you tell me to pick up the fish or pick up the dish? They're both sitting on the table. Oh, I'm not sure which one you wanted. So as we start to have hearing loss, we start to have more effort and energy being put in. But in addition, we also have balance problems. We have trouble localizing and determining where a sound is coming from. We're not as alert. We don't have as much sharpness because we're a little bit in like a mental fog, but it's because the brain isn't getting the complete signal. And then finally, that can all lead to kind of social isolation and depression, because if it's so much effort for me to have a conversation with you, Lisa, if I'm not understanding everything you're saying, I'm going to kind of sit back and withdraw. I might shake my head, I might smile, but I kind of mentally check out because it's too much effort. And if I give you the wrong answer, if you really wanted that fish and I brought you the dish, now you're going to start thinking, hey, maybe something's cognitively not right with her. When in fact, if we would just give the brain a complete signal, we would do and feel much better.
Let's talk about injury to the inner ear. What are some things that cause inner ear injuries?
So the main reason in the United States that we have hearing loss is due to aging. And it's called, a term called presbycusis is the medical term, but basically it's because we do not have as good a blood flow when we are older. So the things that we can do are we can eat better, we can drink water, we can exercise, we can do all those things that we know are best for us because it brings more oxygenated blood to the ear. But other things that can cause it are strokes, heart attacks, diabetes, high blood pressure medication, because the high blood pressure medication thins out the blood and then it's not as oxygenated. So part of it is hereditary, right? We're just born with it. But the main thing that we can do for ourselves is to stay healthy and exercise. The things we really don't want to be told to do, but the things that are best for us.
But that's good though, but you're talking about bringing oxygenated blood into the ear, which you wouldn't think would really be an issue, but the fact that you identified it, it definitely is something we need to be aware of. Now, some people say, they have hearing loss and they don't necessarily do anything about it. Who knows why? They just don't feel like it or whatever the case might be. Well, what are some of the reasons people don't do something about it?
I would say the majority of people who in the past did not come in for hearing aids is they felt like, oh, those are for people who are old. Okay. I'm not that old yet. I don't need them yet. They may say that it's not that bad. I can get by. Yeah, I don't need those. And I will address those in a minute, but a third thing might be the cost of hearing aids. They might say that hearing aids are too expensive. Medicare doesn't pay for them. And then finally, the biggest thing I'm gonna say though, is they don't realize that the benefit far outweighs all those things that I just said. So when we go back and look at it, it's not that the hearing aids that you're too old. Hearing loss can start at birth, like we said, but the bigger part is, again, the brain stimulation. We know through the Lancet studies, which is one of the biggest medical studies that we have respected information for, is that hearing loss and correcting it is the #1 thing that you can do to help prevent cognitive decline. So I'm going to repeat that. Improving your hearing, giving your brain a full stimulus is the #1 thing you can do to help prevent cognitive decline. Now, why do we say that? Well, again, I gave that example. The brain cannot remember what it doesn't hear. If you did not give the brain a full signal, it's having to guess at what is being said. It might guess incorrectly. And we call that cognitive load, meaning if I have to take all my time and effort to figure out the message, I don't have time to retain it and process it in enough time because you're already saying 2 or 3 more sentences and I didn't finish processing what you just gave me.
Right.
So that's
it's a complicated process, but you certainly do help us understand, from a layman's perspective, because I guess I never really thought of how complicated it really is, but that's why we go to you.
Well, yeah, and as an audiologist, with May being Better Hearing Month, as an audiologist, it means that I have a minimum of 6 years of college experience. Now you have to be a doctor of audiology, which is 8 years of college experience just in hearing sciences, because we're recognizing that the ear is so crucial to cognitive memory and development, balance, alertness, and as we age, it is so fundamental in just good health. So
Yeah.
that's really, I want to encourage people to take that step. They're talking about doing a national screening at the age of 60 or 65 for hearing loss, just like we do for babies when they're born. Now there's a national screening for babies when they're born for hearing loss, and
Mhm.
trying to do it when we're in our 60s because we want to really stay on top of it.
I think that's good because it seems like it's definitely needed and the population is getting older. There's going to be a lot more of us over the next 20 years. And so, the more we understand it, the better, that's for sure. Let's talk about some hearing aid materials and different kinds of things that people should do when they're thinking about coming in for a hearing aid.
Sure. So when you're thinking about it, number one, get a referral from somebody who maybe has been very happy with their hearing aids. But the big thing you want to look at is recognizing that hearing aids is an art and science. It is not about buying a product. It's not something you're going to just take off the shelf and put on your ear and walk out the door. Wearing a hearing aid and fitting it properly is more like physical therapy. We're going to fit it to where you're at currently, and then we're slowly going to work with you over 4 to 6 weeks to get the hearing aid to be accepted and used, because there's no reason that you should buy a hearing aid and put it in a drawer or stop using it, because it's ludicrous. So you think, well, why did people do that? They did it because they started out with good intentions. They wanted to help themselves, but then they said, well, it doesn't give me that much benefit. It's not that good. I'm not going to wear it. I'm not going to bother with it. And I'm going to say, come in. Let us adjust it. There's so many things that can be done to make a hearing aid fit better, sound better, perform better. Even people who've worn hearing aids for years have come in and we can adjust them. We have ways to measure it and actually show you on the screen what's happening in your hearing aid to give you a better performance. And that's the whole idea. You want to give your body the most correction that you can in a very easy and acceptable way.
Do you have test drives? Can you sample hearing aids for a little while?
You can. We can do a demo while you're here in the office, and you can actually listen to the hearing aids. You can take them out. We do have short-term demos that you can put on and wear, but all hearing aids by state and federal law have a 45-day trial period. So you get 45 days to try them out, and if at the end you decide, I don't like them, I don't want them, they're not for me, you can return them and all your money is refunded. So the biggest investment that you have is your time. And we will walk you through that. And if you're motivated to improve your health, improving your hearing is one of the best things that you can do for you and your family and your spouse.
Excellent. All right. Well, good information. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
All right. Excellent. And we'll be right back after this.